Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
And I'm here because I was told this was a work event. I've bought my drinks just in case.
You brought drinks?
Yeah, it's a work event.
I just realised, I kept reminding myself before we started, make sure you offer Jake a drink when he comes round, and I absolutely haven't.
That's because you saw me coming with my cans.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw your bottles of vodka
for this work event.
Whiskey and tequila
and as long as we do some work, I think we're covered.
Well, I've got notes, so I think we've got it covered. I've got Mum preparing cheese in the kitchen.
No work event is complete without cheese.
Exactly. As you can see, we're in different digs today. We're a travelling podcast. That's what we're about.
We're exotic. We're all over the place.
Also, before we start, I've got some really good positive news. I'm assuming he would have contacted you as well, but we've got the first member of the Yule Boys.
Yeah, boy. I've not been contacted. Is he in?
Mr. Tony, he texts me.
We're in.
Yeah,
we're off.
He's in. We've got our Jewish Rabbi Santa.
If you don't know what the Yule Boys are, you can go back and listen to our Christmas episode.
Yeah, it's a banger.
Dropped.
It was actually really fun.
Christmas 2021.
Absolutely. So, look, when we were coming back, there was obviously really only one thing we could talk about.
Undoubtedly, there's been one story that's pretty much dominated from, well, for as long as I can remember now, really.
It's been going on a while. It's definitely been going on at least a couple of months.
Oh, like, God, yeah.
Long before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas is old news.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, as we know, Downing Street had at least 2 parties now.
Well, no, so and they had Wine Time Fridays.
Yeah. Well, it should have been Margarita Fridays. They missed out, really.
I mean, I think someone did say they thought the thing that will tip this over the edge in terms of putting us off of the current government is if they have a little one of those little signs hanging in Downing Street that just says Prosecco time. It'll be like, that's too far. It's 1 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? One of them.
I mean, the thing is, though, they found traces of cocaine within 10 metres of Boris's office.
Yeah, in like 11 out of the 12 toilets tested at Westminster.
Yeah, the guys, like, they're at it.
They're on it, mate. They're hardcore.
I mean, maybe we're being a bit unfair. I think to do probably the long hours some of the underlings would have to do and things like that. I can understand.
Listen, I'm not against someone. I'm not against like an intern or a new up and coming one.
Where do you draw the line?
Well, that's where I draw the line, in the toilets.
No, but like, so how high are we allowed to go and then still sniffing coke? So, like, if we found out the guy's doing lines daily, how would you feel
there's no way you look at that guy and think, he's never taken drugs in his life. He's on everything.
If anything, I think it would improve his stock at the moment. I think the working class would be like, yeah, go on, mate.
Do you know
doing
what
a bit of gear.
I did see a thing, a joke, that I did think, if Rishi Sunak had made that joke, he'd fucking be Prime Minister right now. Because someone was sort of saying, I feel really sorry for Rishi Sunak, because I used to live next door to neighbours who were partying all the time, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
For the context, that joke, for people that don't know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer lives at number 11 next door
it's a bit
to
weird,
Prime
isn't
Minister.
It? I wonder what it's like in there. Is it like a little cupboard? Is it
a
quite
drugs
big?
Den, I imagine.
It's where he stores it all.
It's fridges. Number 11 is just all fridges.
No,
say it.
I was like, you notice he puts a man of colour in the house with the drugs because they're going to think immigrant, drug smuggling, all
it's
that
an easy
sort of
get out.
Yeah. It just occurred to me. That's how Boris thinks.
He's not all dumb. You know, he's got something there.
So like, how do you feel about the situation?
For me, I think it's odd because I can't believe that this. I mean, I don't necessarily I think this will be his undoing, but this is certainly the toughest he's had to ride it out. I mean, he's currently not even making any public appearances.
No, and they're actually talking about who might replace him now as well.
And I can't believe that this is it. I mean, all of the shit that he's done in his tenure, and this is the thing that takes him out. It's like, that's absolutely mental.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I think what surprises me is people being surprised by it. Of course they're doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like, what about the Conservative government and Boris's government in particular makes you think they're following the rules?
Yeah,
they're on the up and up. Do you know what I mean?
These guys are in it. We're all in it together.
So, like, when it came out, I was more surprised at I understand the anger. I can understand why people are angry. And I think what it was that got people was the laughing in that video that leaked of them prepping.
Stratton.
Yeah.
And how was Allegra Stratton the only one that's been resigned?
To be honest, all of them need to resign, really.
Yeah.
I mean, is that video real as well that went around online? Is it actually Boris in the video? He's got a lightsaber and he's dancing and grinding on a black
the woman
woman.
in the DJ downstairs.
Yeah.
I don't know, but honestly,
Because it looks real, but it's blurry enough that
the reports are that they did have a DJ downstairs in the basement of Downing Street. My favourite part of the story, and I'm sure you must have it in your notes, is that they sent one of the guys with a suitcase down to the co-op to stock up on booze. The funniest thing about that, or not the funniest thing, but the odd thing, no, or did he go down to Waitrose? He might have gone down to the, no, I think it was the, but there's a Tesco's closer.
Yeah.
So
He's
what I'm
like,
assuming is, I'm not going there, or he's
but
gone
the
in.
co-op's not posh, is it?
No, or maybe he's gone in and he's thought this is not enough booze for our lot.
Right.
We need a more stocked fridge. And he needs to go down to the, I think it was at the Strand they went.
I think for me, like, I wasn't even particularly angry when I heard it because I was
just the latest in the line,
of course,
isn't it?
what they're doing. That's what they're
Obviously.
doing. Like, they're probably doing it every night. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like,
One Time Fridays just have a name.
yeah. The thing is, for it to have a name, that tells you how often it's going on. And they've admitted to two, haven't they? Like the two parties, but they haven't.
Yeah, they have admitted to two parties.
Yeah,
at least. And he came out and apologised. And then Liz Truss sort of came out and went, look, he's apologised, let's move on. And it's like, no, you don't get to just say you broke the law.
No. But the thing is, do you actually think the police are going to...
No, well, did you see there's a clip going around of Sheila Fogarty from LBC going through what the police have said? Because there's
You're not going to touch it, man.
A group have officially launched a legal suit against the police for not investigating it.
Yeah.
And this is what the police said, and I've got this in my... So I literally prepared, like, 2 notes, as I told you beforehand. So this is one of the things that I absolutely love.
I've lost track of everything, mate, to be honest.
I imagine that through you.
For people who aren't watching on camera, I've just
Chaos.
legit ruined my microphone stand.
The new
It just collapsed. So I'm now just sat here holding
the
the
new
microphone
studio is not serving
stand.
us well.
No. I'll have to figure something else out.
We'll get round.
But, we're fine.
But the police said they won't investigate it because, and these are the three, and I'm not doing these in any particular order, these are the things they said, and it makes you laugh out loud, honestly. They said they won't investigate it because they've been assured by number 10 that no rules were broken. Also, and this is even better, if anything.
Yeah.
They won't investigate it. They're not going to interview people that were there or allegedly there because no one will say anything that will incriminate themselves.
No, and
so
also
basically,
it's unrealistic to expect the people that work under Boris to dob him in.
And of course, we add into that from the last scandal when the police said they won't investigate it because it happened in the past.
Yeah.
All of that means basically what can happen is, imagine if I went to the police station and kind of went, right, do you see that body over there that everyone thinks I killed, and people saw me killing him? And they went, yeah. And I went, yeah, okay, it was me. I did kill him. And they went, oh, well, that's okay, but we're not going to investigate it. And you go, well, you're not going to investigate. I've just admitted to breaking the law.
Yeah.
And they go, well, no, because if we interview you from here on, you're probably going to deny everything, aren't you? I'll be like, well, yeah, I might. And they go, well, then there's no point, is there? And also...
No, but also the other thing is people
did you break the law? And I say, no, I didn't.
It's like a resignable offence, but there's actually nothing in the ministerial code that says anything about if a minister breaks the law, whether they're expected to resign or not.
No, but if equally, like, imagine if the police, next time the police stop you, all you have to say is, oh, I didn't break the law, officer. And they just go, oh, right, yeah, no, we won't investigate.
No, the thing is, though, we know that's not how it works for everyone else.
No, but it's just, it seems an absolute...
No, and I think the thing is, I think to people like me and you, that's a bigger thing because it's showing that there is genuinely a divide of, like, those who can do whatever they like and behave however they like, and people like us can't. But in reality, can we change that? No. So we just, as a society, go, oh, yeah, it was...
That's the thing. I don't know if... I think we probably can change it, but it needs such a collective coming together. And I think a lot of people, we're duped into this class thing. We genuinely believe... I'm not saying you or I or our listeners.
Yeah.
But as a nation, we genuinely believe, we've been convinced that those who have, go to the posher schools and they have the money, they're smarter and they're worthy of those positions. And that's utter bollocks. And you and I both know that.
Absolutely.
And our listeners, I think probably the fact that they listen to us know that too.
No, I think that's right. One of the things I'm concerned about the more these scandals happen, are people using it as an excuse to not follow the rules.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy in these moments for it to feel invalidated and like, why the fuck should I be, following the rules?
And we must look back and remember that our lockdowns, our rule following did save lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Definitely agree with you.
So for me, I can't say anything that would console someone who wasn't allowed to be with their loved one as they were dying. They couldn't say goodbye. There's nothing you can say for that.
Rippers.
Yeah.
We know you can say that.
I could say rippers. I was trying to go for a more solemn moment.
A more somber approach.
Yeah,
more humble. Yeah, no.
I like to bring the tone down and cradling my mind.
I like to bring the tone down and
as
remind
everything's
us.
falling apart around me.
Remind us what we are here at Crossing Swords.
But yeah, I think in general, I don't think any of it has been for a waste.
No,
because
I
ultimately,
agree.
this could lead to Boris having to resign or for him to be held accountable. And I hope he is held accountable. But, you know, I think people still have to stick to the rules and follow the guidelines.
I think the thing that worries me, and I mean, I said it to you anyway, I don't think he'll resign. I think he just keeps finding new ways to show.
The only way that happens is if his polls drop to us, because
they're low.
I've been listening to stuff, they're low. But he has no real allies in his own
Although
party.
the polls
the
are
only
not
reason he became leader is because he wins elections.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to say as well. This is my other note. After the PMQs, where he went in and apologised and said, you know, I'm terribly sorry. I thought it was a work event, and all that business started, right? He went into the tea room afterwards. Now that is very, very rare for Boris to have done. I think he's maybe done it like once or twice in his whole tenure. And the only reason he goes in there is if he's got a bill that's coming up that he doesn't think he's got to get support for, and at the moment it's a bit loose. And he actually went in there, and apparently, so it's not only that he's in there is quite incriminating, damning, not incriminating, but also apparently while he was in there, he was telling the MPs, and this is alleged, I can't say for sure. Maybe I can. Police aren't going to investigate this, are they? If they ask us if we did any slander or libel, we'll just say no, and they will have to ignore us.
I don't endorse anything Jake's saying. It's just him. It doesn't represent Crossing Swords as a whole. I don't want to get sued. And continue.
But apparently he was telling the MPs that he didn't do anything wrong. He's just taking the blame for others. Like he's the hero. Like I'm taking the flak.
Pictures of him sat there.
I'm taking the flak
wine
for everyone because, you know, I'm the good guy. I'm saving these guys. And that was apparently his message in the tea room. Let
me ask you this. How do you feel Labour and Keir Starmer have handled the scenario? Do you reckon they've capitalised on it well?
No, they have to be. I actually sent a message to Keir Starmer when this broke. Not personally, like I'm not on a direct line with him. I sent messages to
I play football with him.
You know, his MP. Obviously, they're all open.
We
for
go
the
for
public.
drinks.
And
I mean, you are insanely rich with a huge house. That makes sense.
Yeah, I have access.
Yeah,
I have access.
Absolutely.
Like me and the Chinese.
I mean, those are the requirements. Big house, lots of money. You know, Keir Starmer.
Me, Chinese spies, and Keir Starmer. We all kind of get together once a month.
Absolutely. And the BBC to cover stuff up.
Yeah, and the BBC are there so that if anything does happen, they can not report it.
Yeah,
they're very good like
absolutely.
that. But no, I actually sent him a message and said, you need to be ruthless. Boris won by not actually doing anything, by just talking shit and cutting down Labour, by attacking Jeremy Corbyn. And obviously he had the backing of the big papers and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what he did. He was ruthless, and that's what sways people. I said, you need to do the same.
Have you watched any of the PMQs?
No, but this is it. We've said this before. Him... And I thought Ed Miliband did quite well when he took over.
Oh, and, mate, he destroyed them.
Angela Rayner does quite well when she's
I want to talk about her in a minute as well.
But I do think he comes... Generally, Keir Starmer comes alive at PMQs, and then from Wednesday to Wednesday, or from Thursday to Tuesday...
just don't think he's doing enough.
Just not relevant.
And
I just think he needs
to get in
be
front of the camera more on every radio station.
I emailed him and I said, you and the Shadow Cabinet need to be
everywhere.
You need to be
an hour off of work.
You should just be... Between you and the Shadow Cabinet, you should be on every TV show, every radio
just
station,
constantly calling them
everywhere. And you shouldn't be doing polite and being like, oh, I think, you know, we should follow... Attack him.
Yeah.
Go personal, because he did the same to you. And I
Ask
know
how
you
many
want to hold
kids
yourself,
he has. Do you know what I mean?
I know you want to hold yourself up as being like, we're about... No, go down to his level and fight him on that level, because the country needs that.
It doesn't mean afterwards when you win, because you've done it well, that you can't do things differently. What do you think about
Labour's response?
I think, like, particularly Angela Rayner, I watched her PMQs. She destroyed Boris. He tried to run away. She asked him, he tried to run, and so Lindsay Hall's like, no, you've got to stand and listen to this, Mr. Prime Minister. You don't have to answer it, because we've done the questions, but you've got to stand and listen to it. And then she's asking him, are you okay, hun? It's like, oh, mate, she's amazing.
I absolutely love Angela Rayner.
If Keir Starmer wasn't leader of the Labour Party...
You'd want her.
I'd want her. Yeah, and I think she'd probably be more electable because she's got everything. She's come up from nothing. She's common as much. She's got an accent. You know, she's got the appeal.
Yeah, I'll tell you who I'll tell you who I'd like to promote. I'd like to have her up top, and I'd like to have promoted into the shadow cabinet. I'd like to have Jess Phillips and Dawn Butler.
Okay, yeah.
Because both of them will call out. They won't do that. They won't do.
If there's bullshit, there's bullshit.
Let me try and word it right. They won't do the Keir thing and kind of be polite about it. If there's bullshit, they'll call it bullshit. Yeah, and I kind of got huge. You know, obviously Dawn Butler called him a liar and then got kicked out of. And I think prove her wrong.
I think you're right to counteract the bullshit machine that is the Conservatives and the general media at the moment. You can only combat it by being brutally honest.
And I think the papers have started to turn on Boris, and that's quite a telling sign. Although there was one, I think it was the Express, and it was genuinely shocking. They went with the headline, winning on Brexit, winning the war on COVID. And it's like, okay, well, those are both wrong. And they were like, don't blow it now, Prime Minister. That was their headline. It was don't blow it now. 150,000 people have died, man. How is that winning the war on COVID? We're still going through the same cycle of lockdowns and restrictions and opening up and going back in and opening up and going back in. What the fuck are we winning the war on that? And Brexit is a shit show. Like, everything is measurably worse since Brexit.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really shocking headline.
No, I completely agree. One of the conversations I enjoy having with people at the moment is asking the question, because Boris defeated Corbyn so soundly and we rejected him en masse that he wasn't good enough, and we've agreed since that he wasn't good enough.
Not as a leader.
But I like asking the question, do you think he'd have done worse than Boris? Like, would we be better off now as a nation having had been under Corbyn? Exactly.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
You know, and that's...
What's the general consensus when you ask people?
They go, oh no, because he was just rubbish.
Really?
Yeah, they just think he would have cracked under the pressure, had no support, and would have fallen apart. But I just find it interesting to ask people. I think the complete opposite. I think we'd been much better off under Corbyn. I think we'd have gone into lockdowns earlier.
I think even if you look at it negatively,
I think we'd have just in general had more trust in our government.
Yeah, I think we can't have done worse. Yeah, because the trust is completely obliterated. Yeah.
Right. So just say like the magical day happens, and the thing is, we say it's a magical day. Because, like, if Boris does resign, which we still think is unlikely, but if he did, this is what I wanted to say, or I was starting to say earlier, and sort of tangent it off. I think first of all, Boris keeps finding ways to show just how low the standards of English politics are. Yeah. Because every single time he manages to get away with something, you're like, is it English politics or is it?
Well, do you remember
is it just the way he does things?
Well, do you remember last year? I mean, the reason I say this is, do you remember last year, or 2020, in fact, when the Scottish minister had to resign because during lockdown her and her family in her bubble
they broke the rules, didn't they, to their holiday home?
You say, we say broke the rules, and like to the letter of the law, I guess they did. But in terms of if you had a bit of common sense, what did they do? They travelled together in their bubble to another empty property that they owned. Yeah. They didn't interact with anyone. They didn't.
But the rules at the time were you didn't leave your area.
She stepped down because of it.
Yeah.
Boris is having piss up throwing parties. I did like the one a lot of people have been saying.
But the thing is,
they couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. Apparently, that's not true.
At the moment, having listened to some guys sort of dissect the situation, is his wording is very much that although he's apologised, he's not admitting.
He's not really apologising.
No, he's not. But because of that, he can't be done on the ministerial code.
He's saying, I'm sorry you feel...
So unless any documentation comes out, which is unlikely it will, that proves that point blank he knew...
It's the ministerial equivalent of saying, I'm sorry you feel that way, and it's a huge kick in the teeth.
I feel your anger and your hatred, but I was just completely unaware. I'm sorry. I just walked out into the garden, which... Since COVID has been part of our office...
I'm sorry I did that. It's saying, I'm sorry you got upset by that.
Yeah. I'm sorry that hurt you.
But the really worrying thing for me...
I wonder if he says that to his missus after he smacks her. I'm sorry that hurt you. Yeah. When he's got another love child on the way, I'm sorry if that hurt you.
I'm sorry you're upset by
that. And like when he's telling those mothers of those children that he's not going to send them any child support, I'm sorry if that hurts you.
I imagine as well, he was very much after each incident, he's like, I'm sorry if they hurt you, and they were like, barely felt it. Don't worry about it.
Didn't even know you were there, mate. But the only proof was the fact I'm pregnant. Could be anyone's though.
Till it comes out talking shit with roughly blonde hair.
Then we know.
But no, the thing that really worries me is he steps down.
Yeah.
Every single person in that cabinet is just as bad.
What about
maybe
Rishi?
Not just as bad. Yeah, I think the thing
We don't know enough about Rishi.
I'll tell you the thing that, and I said it before, the thing that turned me
We've
against,
given him our seal of approval before.
yeah, but the thing that turned me was when he came out and defended Cummins.
Yeah, but
You just
is that
can't
just
do
not
that.
towing the party line?
Yeah, no, I don't. It was towing the party line, but I don't care. You've got to take more of a stand on that. And I think
That's fair.
the thing that came up, and we realise now, when it's like, well, what does he have on Boris, and what does he have on all of them? Oh, this. While he was off driving around,
Well,
they were
I think
having
it's
parties.
because there's not a lot known about him. He would very much be a clean slate. There's nothing really attached to him, is there? You don't see him as far right. You don't really know if he's a centrist.
He's definitely positioning himself as.
I think he's doing it more now. That because
I mean, the fact that he
basically
went
they're
to
talking about him
Cornwall,
being the next PM.
the fact he went to Cornwall while this was all blowing up, and
Yeah.
then when all of the ministers were tweeting saying, we back the Prime Minister, we back the Prime Minister, and he didn't say anything for like the whole day, and then he came out and he didn't really say I back the Prime Minister, but he sort of did and sort of didn't. It's like you're just lining yourself up so that you're not.
No, absolutely, but I can't blame him for that, to be honest.
No, and I think the other one who really wants the job, who's really making
is
the
it
last
Liz
one, is
Truss?
Liz Truss.
I don't really know a lot about her either. I know people don't like her.
She spent a long time campaigning, like most of them did. She spent a long time campaigning against Brexit.
What? And then suddenly supported it as soon as it went through.
now is a Brexiteer.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta love those sort of politicians.
Yeah, there's like clips.
Do you know when it's
even
so
back at
blatant that it feels like a slap across the face, but they
Yeah.
just smile through it? They're just like, I've gone back on everything I believe in for my career.
That's the thing about this party.
I'm going to die sad and alone.
All the senior ones and all of the cabinet and all that. They always, it's sort of like they say something.
Savage Javid, didn't he resign over like he disagreed with something the government did, so he resigned previously and then got reappointed?
I thought he just got moved in a reshuffle.
No, he left. He was like,
did he leave?
He was. Oh, was he Chancellor of the
He was
Exchequer?
Chancellor. Yeah, he was Chancellor.
And he resigned because of something Boris did at the time or a decision that was being made. He was like, I don't agree with it. Resigned.
I know he resigned.
He might have some standards.
Yeah, no. Anyway, it's
but like,
dodgy.
The only person I genuinely would feel.
Oh, you're right. He only stepped in as health minister when Matt Hancock got resigned, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think the only person I'd really be afraid of being in charge. No, not even. He's nowhere near. He's not even in. Come on, mate. He got demoted. Everyone knows how he's felt of. He's only in the cabinet because he has to be. Is Priti Patel. That woman scares me.
Yeah.
How someone can come from an immigrant family and hate immigrants. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to know what her parents think.
I mean, the current policing bill that's on its way through is going through Lords soon as we speak.
I want to get rid of protesting.
Yeah, and do you know it extends further than that? So it's also about it clamps down on trespassing.
Okay.
Basically, it means that they'll have basically takes away the rights. They don't have many rights, but travellers do have some small rights.
Yeah,
and they work around them. Obviously, not all of them.
It was removed,
but most of them do. And this removes those completely, and it allows the government to take their homes. And that's the thing; they're not just taking a caravan or a car. This is their home.
Yeah,
it's insane.
People don't like travellers though, and I think that. Do you know what? That is probably quite a clever way to slip the protesting part through, isn't it? People don't like travellers in this country, so if they put something out that's targeting them, they can slip the
and it's just
through.
It's just horrendous.
No, absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
And
couldn't agree more.
You know,
although I don't like travellers, you know, we have a tradition of marking off a type.
We do travellers.
Like, look, I'm going to say what I say about most people. There are probably lovely travellers out there. I have no doubt. But all the ones I've met,
I have to say, and I'll say this: when I was in, well, I still am, but when I was in sort of more industrial retail, all of my experiences with travellers were negative.
Yeah.
They were.
If you work in retail,
negative.
you have no positive opinions of travellers.
But since then, I have had some interactions with some very nice ones who also condemn those ones and are like, look, they don't represent the reputation.
It's probably a small minority. It's probably the same ones that are going around causing trouble. I can 100% believe that. But it's like Scousers. I've only ever met bad ones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like women. You've only ever met ones you don't respect.
Absolutely. Apart from the lady I plan to marry.
And I mean, we're literally about to slag off Priti Patel. We're mid slagging off Priti Patel.
Yeah, but that's not
she's
because
not
she's a woman.
She's not even a human.
Like for me, it's like the moment in 21 Jump Street where he punches the gay black guy in the face for being an arsehole. And the guy's like, turn off your gay ass music. And he's like, you punched me because I'm gay? He's like, no, I punched you and then you happen to be gay.
Yeah,
and he was like, if anything, it would have been homophobic if I didn't punch you. Like,
yeah, it'd be sexist not to attack her.
Do you know what I mean? I think...
No, but straight up, she's horrendous.
Person.
She's
horrible person.
And I think I'm all right because I've wanted to promote 3 women inside the Labour Party, so I'm kind of covered.
And I'm saying I want Angela Rayner as my Prime Minister, so
Yeah,
I'm all behind
we're
women.
balancing it out. No, but Priti Patel. Women, we like you.
Women, I'm behind you. Yeah, that's our slogan. Should that be the new?
Why are you
slogan?
running?
Women, we're behind you.
Why are you getting your keys out?
Why have you got a whistle?
Come on, love. I crossed the road to be behind you. I'm metaphorically showing you my support.
I feel so awkward late at night if I'm walking. Like, sometimes you'll get one of those random nights you get off a bus and the woman who gets off before you takes all the same turns you do. So it just looks like you're following her.
I deliberately try and stay on the other side of the road and try.
Yeah, but even when you do that, you just
No,
look like you're
dodgy.
following her from the
dodgy,
other side of the road. You just feel like a stalker.
Yeah.
And I'm a big guy as well, so I must look in the dark quite intimidating. And I'm not.
I can testify.
Yeah.
You do.
Oh shit.
You do.
And it's not just because I've got a big, massive cock and I have it out all the time.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help
the image.
No. And all of that eye contact gets awkward.
And the breathing.
Heavy breathing.
Really heavy breathing.
Alex knows about that. By the way, I can't believe he wanted an apology. Scum.
I know. And then this week he actually.
That's just something we have to do every episode. We just have to tell Alex he's a horrible human being.
There was a problem with his trains.
The moment he leaves working for Southern, he could go work for South West, whoever, Northern.
He's fine.
Southern scum. Sorry, it is what it is. He can't condone that behaviour.
No, do you know who probably could?
We'd feel that way about anyone working in insurance. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if Southern was being run by Boris in some moonlight job.
No, they're run by an insurance company. We're going to get you to pay for the service and then not provide it.
Fucking amen.
Yeah.
That's some truth.
That's what I'm here for.
We drop wisdom.
I do drop wisdom. So yeah, we've talked about Rishi Sunak. Right, so the odds for the next Prime Minister if Boris did resign. Rishi is at 2-1.
Okay.
Liz Truss is 3-1.
Okay.
Michael Gove is 8-1 alongside Jeremy Hunt. And Sajid Javid is 14-1.
Do you know what I remember though when they were having the leadership contest?
Yeah.
When Boris first took over.
Gove was quite close, wasn't he?
Well, I seem to remember watching it, and it was only because, and I just want to make this clear, it was only because he was in comparison with Boris Johnson and he was having a direct debate with him. But I was very much siding with Jeremy Hunt. And
yes,
it was only
I remember
it was
me
only
and you
because he was
texting each
against
other,
Boris, and
wasn't
because
it?
he was honest.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest difference.
I remember us both sitting there. I think I started off sat watching it, and I was like, mate, I like this Jeremy Hunt guy. And you were like, what do you mean? I said, I'm watching the thing, and then you turned it on.
And I think the one thing that sticks out, he said they had asked about Brexit, and he said, look, it's an incredibly difficult position to be in. He said it's not going to be an easy thing to get done. He said we are going to have to make some sacrifices to achieve it.
Yeah.
But I will make sure that we get the fundamental things that we need to get to continue to grow as a nation. There's some shit like
Whereas
that.
if you're Boris, you
Boris
just
went,
international
no,
law.
we've got an oven-ready deal. And
renege.
it's, he came out of his oven-ready deal, and it's
that's still not ready.
Brussels are ready to break, or whatever he said. And it was like, that's what drew me to Jeremy Hunt, because compared to the direct bullshit,
he felt far more grounded.
He was much more. It's like, I trust him because he's telling me the truth. Now, he may go on to lie, and he may go on to not do that, and blah, blah, blah. But right now, I trust the bloke who's being honest with me.
What do you think it is about Boris that has allowed him to convince everyone that he's a genuine pair of hands, that got him so popular? Do you think it was just his opposition was that bad and that he was the only other option?
I think, and I've recently read a book on randomness and the effect it plays in our lives, and the chances that, statistically by chance, eventually things will happen, and if you keep doing things over and over again, the more likely it will happen.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit of that. I think it's a bit everything just lined up at the right time.
Yeah, it was a multiple.
He never meant, he went, he probably just, he has this ego and he needs to be seen. So he went on TV, no intention of furthering his career as such, just wanted to be liked.
From like because I'm pretty sure as soon as he was mayor of London, at the very latest, he was angling to be leader of the Conservatives.
Absolutely, but I'm going back to like the 99, 2000.
Do you think pre-mayor of London?
I think he had this ego, and he was like, people, I need to be liked, I need to be seen.
Mm.
So he went and did like, have I got news for you?
Yeah.
And the feedback was good. And the feedback was positive. And I
Yeah.
think he suddenly, by luck, was like, well, do you know what? I can probably use that to catapult myself.
Yeah.
So then he gets himself into Parliament, and then he gets himself, and then again, like the appearances keep racking up, his columns keep racking up,
Yeah.
and he's like, hang on, by pure chance.
And then he's just got this
I think he's just
popular, large
and then he's
profile.
thought, I can use this platform now to launch a mayoral bid.
Yeah.
And he thinks, and I think he's probably then got that in the back of his mind of, if this is successful,
I've got a
I
shot.
can jump shoot on.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he did. And I think he sort of found, just by chance, I think that if he just bumbles and bullshits and then denies that he's ever said something that people are saying he said, I think
Which
he probably
does
did it
constantly.
I think he did it by chance the first few times,
Yeah.
and then realised there's no consequences for this. Like, this shit works. And so he just kept repeating the formula. That's what I
Maybe. I think he's far more intelligent than he lets on. I don't know at what point in his career it was. I know it's definitely when he stole Cummings from Gove. I think that was when the gears really kicked in and he was like, let's create this machine of bullshit and, spin. He got his version of Alistair Campbell for himself.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely from that point. I think definitely from when he was Mayor of London, I think from that point it was unquestionable he was always going to try and be Prime Minister. But then I remember when Theresa May became Prime Minister, he was like right alongside her, and then just suddenly...
I think I know why.
Well, it was because he knew whoever went
It's a
first
lose-lose on situation.
Brexit was fucked.
Yeah.
And if he'd have done it, there's no way he survives it.
Absolutely no one's political career is
So
going to
yeah,
survive
let's
that at the top
sacrifice
anyway.
Theresa and then I'll swoop in at the end.
And I'll save it.
Yeah.
And save it. Yeah,
Yeah.
knowing full well that he was going to go in and get no deal, but just by getting something.
Right, I've got some stats. Now, admittedly, I just went on YouGov. I didn't peruse around. What do you reckon the current approval rating is on the government as a whole?
Probably higher than I think. So I would hope it's somewhere around 20%, but it's probably around about 30%, isn't it?
No, you're nearly bang on. It's 23%
Is
approve of the government currently, 57% bad, and then obviously the in-between is
they're not
unsure.
knowing. I should say as well that I can't give you the exact number. There is a margin of error on these kind of
Oh, yeah, of course.
polls.
Absolutely. But I just wanted to have a general
Just
idea of how people
A
felt at the
starting point kind
moment.
of thing, yeah.
With Boris himself, where do you reckon it is?
I think that's probably higher than the government as a whole. I think that probably is around the 30% mark.
Again, you're wrong. It's 23% again.
Is it?
Yeah. And 71% think he's doing a bad job.
So more people think he's doing a bad job than think the government are doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people think if you had an actually intelligent person who took control of the situation, because he doesn't. We've had reports, and I believe
He
them
misses
from
COVID
Cummings.
meetings. He misses.
He just chooses not to go to meetings. He basically hands
He
a
waits
sector
for the
to
situation
someone
to resolve itself.
and says, you deal with everything and I'll come in if shit
Yeah.
really gets bad.
Yeah.
And that's why everything does get really bad, because it requires
And again,
more
I
attention
think
than he gives it.
this is what I want to go, just before you carry on with the stats, this is what I
Yeah.
want to go back to the whole thing of him repeating the formula, finding a formula by luck, and then
Yeah.
repeating it. Is that worked for him? And generally, as we know, situations do resolve themselves. They do kind of go away. In the
Yeah.
24-hour news cycle in particular, they do kind of peter out.
Yeah.
And stuff does just sort of resolve itself for the better or for the worse.
No,
And I think what's happened is because the combination of Brexit and COVID hitting at the same time,
yeah.
things are not going away in the same way. That certainly in the pandemic,
I think
things are not
definitely
going away in the same way
if
they
we
were.
Didn't have COVID, none of this would be happening.
And so I think he's
whatsoever.
being found out
Yeah.
because his formula is not working.
I think the other
But he doesn't know
problem
another way to do it.
is obviously the people he's had to appoint in his cabinet are the people that got him to be the leader of the
Yeah.
Conservatives. So that's the only reason they're there, not because they are the most qualified for their position. And I think
No,
that's
one
the other side of it. They're
One
not
thing I've
equipped
always
for the job.
hated about the current setup of British politics, regardless of who's in Labour or the Conservatives, is that I hate the idea that we're just appointing people to look after these whole sectors and industries
just
who
one
have no
person.
qualifications.
No,
And it's like,
quite often have never worked in the field they've been appointed
and I think
in.
the fact that, someone like Sajid Javid, who was Chancellor, who it's sort of like, okay, so he's got a money background, and he does have a money background. He's a banker and he's an advisor. Right, I don't necessarily
You
think
can
that gives him
understand that.
qualifications, but for the point
He's
of this
worked in that
argument,
field.
you can say that he's got enough understanding or a
Yeah.
connection or a background to work
Yeah.
it. But then he gets shifted to health minister. Well, he's got no history of
Never
health
worked with the
minister. He's got
NHS,
nothing
has
to do with
no
any of that.
idea.
I think
Yeah.
there's got to be
actual
more
experts.
qualification for someone who's going to run the whole sector, right? And I
Yeah.
do believe that's
Well,
a huge flaw in the whole current setup.
Well, the thing is, there's no actual real educational requirements to become an MP at all.
No.
You just need to be popular enough to get elected.
Yeah.
So if you're then a popular politician who got yourself elected with no qualifications, your only qualification is you were born in the right family or you know got the right backers.
Or met the right spin doctor.
You can suddenly be elevated to a position where you're making governmental decisions. And so you're not going to get.
Where
the
you're
right
deciding
people.
the education system for the whole future generations.
Yeah, you can affect millions
based
of
on
people.
nothing more than you were born in the right family and you met the right
or lived in
advisor
the right,
at the right time.
in the right area or wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad.
No, it's something I've always had a huge problem with. Anyway, sorry, back to the stats.
One of the next stat was, are Labour ready? What do you reckon the percentage think are ready?
I think that's probably quite low. I think that's probably 30 or 40%. I'm going to say 35. I'll split the difference.
It's 24%. Only 24% of people think they're ready. 56% believes they're not.
Yeah.
So it says a lot, doesn't it?
So basically,
Clearly Labour aren't doing
the same people who
job.
said the government was bad and Boris is bad have then said, but Labour are no good. And
I think,
and that's sort of been the story of this Tory party, hasn't it? It's sort of been the story of this government.
Obviously, I think the Labour Party's had to go through a huge shift post-Corbyn. It was very left-leaning. They've had to go more centrist.
Yeah.
And I completely understand that. And it's probably it's what you need to do. You have a bit of far left and, you know, come to the centre to not scare everyone. But I think they have to create, as we're sort of saying, their own sort of propaganda machine and just be on everything, every single one of them.
They're just not brutal enough.
If you turn on the telly, they need to be there. If you turn on the radio, you need to be here.
I think they are ready. I think they're capable, but they're just not attacking enough. They're just not.
Basically,
they don't highlight
Sakir
themselves
needs
enough.
To be more cutthroat.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to talk about, I don't know how much knowledge you had on it. I didn't until last night, until I saw it.
Well, I can claim to be an expert.
Our Green Party in this country seems a bit pants in comparison. If you look at Germany, for example, through their system, they've now got the Greens have got a 25% representation in German government.
But I think that's down to the German media, and I don't know too much about this, obviously. But I think they're not as right wing in terms of the climate stuff. So whereas over here, most of the mainstream papers pretty much deny climate change. They rubbish it. They belittle it. Yeah. Most of the mainstream news channels, even the impartial ones like the BBC and Sky, they try and stay too impartial. So what they do is they go, here's an expert who's been studying the field for the last 20 years, who's got a doctorate and a PhD, and here's some bloke off, Reddit, and they give them equal airtime. And the problem is people look at that and they go, well, the BBC or Sky.
The biggest failing of the BBC, I think, is the impartiality thing. Yeah. It's its biggest asset in some cases.
But people look at them and they go, well, if the BBC are this big corporation or Sky are this big corporation, if they're giving equal time to both of them, then both must be as valid.
Yeah, and
therefore I can side with that and it's fine. Why do I know it's fine? Because the BBC are showing it and they wouldn't show it if it was too rubbish.
Yeah.
And I think Germany
Which is completely not the case. The BBC put very little effort into choosing the quality of the
And I don't think Germany have that. So I think as a result, the population are more open to the belief of climate change. So
they're far more
in support of
climate change,
doing something about it.
Country.
Whereas in this country, we're very much against it as much as
I think I think the problem in this country, we're very much against anything that's going to inconvenience us in any way whatsoever. So as much as we're concerned that the planet might cease to exist, if that means I've got to start recycling more,
as long as the papers are telling us it's fine, and as long as the BBC and Sky are giving valid airtime to people who are telling us it's fine, then it's fine. Rather, we can ignore the actual ones that know what they're talking about and all the evidence and stuff.
And I don't think it's going to change. I think it's only going to get worse. No, I think it's definitely the media.
With the Germany stuff.
Another thing for them in Germany, they have a different parliamentary system and electoral system than we do.
Ours is not good.
We have first past the post. They have a more proportional representation. Because one of the things I saw, if we had proportional representation,
Labour it would almost always be a left wing.
Yes,
government.
and the Green Party in particular would go from having 1 seat to around 25.
Yeah.
So a huge increase, but that also means that you'd see, because they've got roughly the same amount of vote share as Reform. They've got slightly more than Reform UK. Isn't that Nigel's?
Oh,
is that his new lot?
I can't keep up with him. Last I saw he was back in Novak.
Yes, he definitely.
Which can we just?
Which I love getting onto an immigration deportation.
Can we just appreciate the irony of Nigel
Well,
Farage?
he's changed man. He just wants to reform
a man
things.
who spent his career saying that our government needs to take control of their borders is mad at Australia for taking control of their borders.
I imagine being Nigel Farage in that, like, when Brexit gets done. Do you know what I mean? When it won, when he done it, when the deal signed, he must have just been a bit like, what's his face, Tyson Fury, when he won his first world title, just depressed as fuck the next day. Just like,
I don't know what I'm going to do.
What the fuck do I do now? And he's found something. He's found his passion, and at the moment it's Novak Djokovic. But the thing is, he failed on that because Djokovic is been kicked out.
I always think if you
also,
say something,
can we talk about that for a second? Because quite frankly, I think Australia have done exactly
they set a bad precedent. Otherwise, I could have turned around and said, because for those of you that don't know, prior to this recording, I was off for a little bit with COVID. I was isolating for a little bit, and I could say to the Australian government, well, because currently I'm not allowed in. I say this as a tourist, but I can turn around and say to them, well, I've actually had it recently. I'm also double vaxxed, which Novak isn't. So I'm double vaxxed, and I've had it recently, so surely I can come in. Yeah, I'll book my flights this weekend, shall I, boys? Because I don't see a problem with it.
I thought it was just funny because,
ladies,
if anyone's ever watched Border Force, Australians don't fuck around, man.
No, mate. You bring in a seed.
You ain't getting that banana through here, mate. No way.
These seeds, you can't bring those in.
This hemp.
I mean, even if they bring in, like, this packet of ham you've got.
What I can never understand is the Asian people and the seafood they're bringing through. You can't bring this through here, mate.
Very big culture.
It's just, I love that show, by the way. I just want to throw it out there.
It's a great watchable, put it on in the background.
The Australians have an amazing accent because their Border Force agents are some of the strictest fuckers on the planet.
But they're chill. The Australians always come across as chill.
Like, this bloke smuggled in, I don't know how much cocaine. The guy's like, well, wowza, mate. You know, you brought in a lot of gear.
The Australians are so chill. Like, you think of it being in America, they're like,
that guy must have thought, I'm actually going to get away with this before he's getting thrown in jail and like, butt raped.
The Americans are like, wires are, woo, oh, they're cocaine, that is a bust, boy. And the Australians are like, that's a lot of coke, mate.
Yeah.
Can't bring that in.
No. You didn't sign the correct form.
You're going to have to stop me there, bud.
I love the Australian accent.
It's so chill and I fucking love it.
Yeah. I like a bit of South African as well.
What's it, Africa, yeah?
Oscar Pistorius.
I know we don't mention him, Mo.
Not since Riva.
No, we don't go there, bro. It's not
Yours
cool.
is really good. So try and say the word synergy in that accent. It's impossible.
Synergy. No, that is quite hard.
Yeah. I come out Irish when I do it. Because synergy.
Oh, that's synergy.
Oh, yes. I can't even remember what
our accent courses
about,
are available for $9.99 a month. We do
walk you goodness
through it.
Gracious me.
And we do cover all races.
Yeah. Hello.
We're not afraid to go there.
No, absolutely not.
We offer our regular courses and our Jimmy Carr courses, both fully available.
And we're going to segue back to some stats to avoid
Go back to the stats, yeah?
Get back to the stats, yeah?
Hit me with their numbers.
Right, if there was an election tomorrow,
this
is sort of the percentages roughly they reckon people would get. Now, this was just on YouGov, so...
Can I just say, before you go back then, while we're back on the topic, while we're back online, that's the other problem, is that currently in the UK, the left really do have three parties. And I know there's obviously most go to Labour, but then Labour Dems do pick up quite a few, and the Greens are picking up more and more as the years go on.
Well, the other thing the Greens have suffered from is most of their voters do tactically vote. Yeah. So what they get is a very disproportionate view of their level of support.
Whereas the Conservatives are pretty much the only representation on the right.
I haven't written these stats down, but there were stats that showing it was 40% of Labour voters would, between 7 and 10, with 0 being completely unlikely to vote for them and 10 being very likely to vote for them for the Green Party, 40% of Labour voters said between 7 and 10 would vote for the Greens. Same for the Lib Dems, it was about 38%.
If we had proportional voting, I'd probably vote Green.
Yeah, I think I would as well. I think at the moment I'd like to get Labour in power, so I'd more likely vote.
I just want Boris out. I want not Boris, this Tory government out.
Yeah, so I would very likely vote Labour because just in a tactical sense,
in the current electoral setup, we vote them.
But if we had a more proportional system, then
I'd vote Green.
I'd very likely vote Green.
Sorry, back to your numbers, bro.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, that was it.
So if there was an election tomorrow, what sort of percentage do you think the Greens are going to get?
probably only about 8% or something.
Oh, you've nailed that. It's 8%.
Yeah, boy.
So how much do you think Reform UK, if we think it's Nigel's lot?
Well, you said they're about the same, aren't they? But I think a little bit less. I think 7%.
You were close, it's 6.
I was going to say 6 off. I talked myself
What
out of it.
about,
This is like me doing my Super
Plaid
6 at
Cymru?
football on the weekend. I
For
just
our
always talk
Welsh
myself out of it.
listeners? That was not
Plaid
Welsh.
Cymru.
The light
Oh.
of a million candles.
I think our Welsh voters are going to vote quite well, I think, like. I think they're going to vote...
You're very good at accents. I didn't know this about you.
Aye, well, there's all talent in there. It's because you're always
Christopher Walken.
You're always focused on my body. You never focus on me as a person.
That's very true. I did always focus on your body. Your poor little bum.
Plaid Cymru, I think... Are we just talking about Welsh vote? Like people
It's
who
just
are
across
eligible
the
to vote for them?
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to be quite... I think they're about 45%. I think quite high.
No, it's not in Wales. This is across,
the UK. Oh, in which case I think they're probably going to be higher than that. I think they must be about 13%.
Wow. It's 1%.
1%.
1%.
Wow.
SNP.
That's got to be about 13, 14%, isn't it?
5. 5%.
I suppose there are just more constituencies in England than there are in Wales
absolutely,
or England.
That's what it is.
I never realised there was that disproportionate.
That tells you how much it's watered down. And then Lib Dems. I mean, they are so irrelevant.
If there was a vote today, tomorrow, well, I remember hearing they would get that if it vote, they'd get about 30 seats or so. So I guess that puts them at about 5% as well.
Not far off. It's 7.
Yeah.
7%. Now, Labour.
Oh, if there was a vote tomorrow, 57% of people don't think they're ready. So how much have we written off? We've written off about 20% here, haven't we? 15, 20%.
16, 17, 21, 28%.
So there's about 70% left to split.
Yeah.
So I think Labour would get about half. I reckon about 32%.
They get 35.
Oh, should have gone up.
And the Conservatives get 36.
Yeah, I knew it'd be more.
So the thing is, in that situation, we'd end up with I'd imagine, either a hung parliament or if Labour
hung parliament that I think in that setup sort of favours.
Or would it be a small? Is that what the hung parliament is? A small majority?
But I think in that situation, then it sort of favours the left.
Yeah,
because Labour can call on Lib Dem,
whereas
agree,
Conservatives have no
Lib
one.
Dems would be able to make a pact.
Although the only part that's not in there, I've just realised, is the Northern Irish lot, the one that
the
they're
DUP,
allied,
the one
the
that they
DUP.
actually do have an allyship with.
But I'm guessing by these numbers, they're basically irrelevant.
But I do think
the only party
they're
the
on
Conservatives would
35%,
have any chance with, but they'd have to promise an independence vote, would be the SNP. I could see the SNP bending over and...
But see, it would make more sense based on the numbers. If those numbers actually translate into seats, it would make more sense to make a deal with Lib Dems.
It would have to be, yeah.
To get them over the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
To push them up to the 42% mark or whatever
and
it
then
was.
maybe, if they were desperate, the SNP after that.
Cut them in some way.
Yeah, and I could see Zakir being open to an independence vote.
Keir would.
But yeah, so that's all my stats. That's all my stats.
Those are some good stats. I like those stats, bro.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give a round of applause.
It's not on.
Oh, is that a round of applause?
No. Spooky music, I reckon.
And for use of the correct button.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I feel very honoured. The other issue, just going back, because I just don't want to waste my words, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I just
going
can't
back
get over
to the German Greens, the other thing they were saying is the German Greens aren't as far left on climate change as our Greens are.
I think our
so
Greens
like, for
are
example,
kind of...
I didn't realise what our Greens would like to do was they obviously want to scrap Trident, and they would put all of the nuclear side of it and eco side of it all under one new branch of government. So they'd have a new cabinet position for it.
Yeah, I think our Greens are quite left, sort of to counter the damage of the right.
I think
it's sort of like a proportional thing. I think if the right at the moment were more central than they are, the Greens wouldn't have to be as left. I think they'd sort of find themselves...
Yeah, I
mean, I might be wrong.
I think that's fair, but I think the problem is if you then go too far left, that puts off the people on the right that aren't bad people, that do believe in decent things, but...
Yeah.
You know.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah. That's what I've got, bro.
I mean, that's all I got. Like I said, I only made 2 notes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make massive notes, and to be honest, we blew through most of my
Yeah.
notes. I'd say within the first 10 minutes, we
You-
just the things we covered immediately just covered.
Yeah, there
What
was
I
a few
wanted to
things
talk
that we just
about.
had to tick off.
Yeah, I think so. Is there anything else going on at the moment in the world?
Well, there was that the Chinese spy scandal.
Oh, I actually don't know about this.
Apparently, there was a Chinese spy, a big donor to the Labour Party,
Oh god,
supposedly trying to get secrets out of government. And so the thing is,
the Chinese
That's
own
all well-
everyone.
that's all well and
Anyway,
good.
what are we worried about the Chinese for? It's going to come to
I know, I realised they
We're
were
all
like-
going to be speaking Cantonese.
I realised they were linked to the Labour thing, but like, it's pretty pointless having a spy for a government that leak every major decision to the press anyway. it kind of defeats the point when the
Yeah.
papers are going to tell you what's coming up.
Yeah. Do you think the Labour government would do that as much though?
God no.
No.
And the biggest reason being that there aren't as many spouses in. There are some,
Yeah.
but there aren't as many spouses that are editors and
Yeah. I love how
high up journalists at
how
papers.
poorly they try to hide it.
Yeah, it's
Do you know what I
shocking,
mean?
isn't it?
When it's only leaked to one person, and you're just like, yeah, all right, no worries. We know who that came from.
It's that sort of thing. They're like, well, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't me.
Yeah.
Can I just also say, because we haven't mentioned the one thing that I think we should have mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think, whether this podcast covers everything adequately or not, I think is a matter for Sue Gray, who will do an inquiry into this podcast.
I decline to speak on that subject until we see the
Until Sue
findings
Gray's
of
spoken about.
Sue Gray's investigation.
How weird must it be for her? A week ago, no one had heard of her, and now she's
Yeah.
probably the most mentioned name
Yeah.
in the country anyway. Like
Yeah,
online,
although-
in the papers, but in text.
Yeah, but it's not like you
people
don't think people are
talking.
going to stop her in the street going, "Oh my God, Sue!"
They're going to do the Ronaldo thing, like
Sue.
I want that to be a thing. I want
Yeah.
that to be a thing. Please, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you see Sue Gray on the
I keep
street,
meaning to say to
just
my mum
shout Sue at her.
whenever she watches Man United, to be like, "How does it feel to have 75,000
Shout your name.
people shout your name?"
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Sue.
That's pretty good, although he's not scoring at the moment, not playing at the moment.
How does it feel
But
to have
that's for-
Ronaldo obsessed with you?
That's for Ashley Jones to tell us about and to cover in another episode.
Yeah, we need to do a football episode
But
soon.
yeah, listen, I think we couldn't do this episode and not mention Sue Gray. Also, really important to mention that actually her inquiry is to establish facts. It's not to make any recommendations
and
to
the
either the government as a reform thing
No.
or to the police to investigate. It is literally just to establish facts.
Yeah. And also, the government haven't actually committed to releasing the whole thing.
No, and Boris,
Just
I think,
the
has been very
findings.
clever in upplaying and overplaying and overselling her role
Yeah.
and what she can do and her importance.
Yeah, yeah.
Because actually, not meaning to mug off Sue Gray, she's not all that important in what she's
No,
doing.
no, she's just a civil servant.
But Boris has properly bigged her up in
Yeah.
this, and so it's kind of like, it's clever. It diverts the attention to someone that can't do anything.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Right, so guys, you got to let us know what you think about what we've been talking about, how you feel.
And please remember that you
Um,
can't, we are waiting for the Sue Gray inquiry before we talk about some stuff. So if you want to ask us some questions, we can't necessarily answer them
No,
until
not until
Sue
we've had
Gray
the answers back.
releases her inquiry.
Also, we would love to do there's a new segment we've sort of had the idea of, but we'd love some sort of like agony aunt questions from you. Not necessarily agony aunt questions, but
We want to help you out. We want to offer
ask
you
us something
some
like,
bro
do you
advice.
stand or sit when you wipe? That sort of thing. Anything that's going to get us talking. Anything
We want
you've
a
got
bit
our
more.
opinion on.
We want a bit more listener interaction.
Yeah, and
So you can ask us a question. It can be like Andrew said. It can
Yeah.
be personal. It can be
Yeah.
a bit agony. I need help,
it could
or it
be
can
like
just be
I'm
a
having
dumb.
thoughts about sleeping with men. And
Yeah,
their
which
big
if you're at a
hairy
stag do,
balls
absolutely
and
fine.
Their helmets, that's just an example off the top. First thing
Yeah,
off the top
I
of my
mean,
head.
not that any of us have experienced that here.
Greasy men in saunas, it could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to stop going through my diary though, bro. You've got to stop reading it out on air.
I know, it's weird it's got your name on it. It's got my name on it,
It's got
sorry.
your name on it. It's like
but
when
yeah,
people write their
But
crushes on their
guys,
school books.
you can write into us at Twitter at Swords Crossing, on Facebook at Crossing Swords, on Google at CrossingSwords19@gmail.com, and on Insta CrossingSwords_podcast.
Yes, and we just
um,
it can be anything dumb.
Also,
We don't mind.
I'd just like to mention something on the pod because I don't know if we have yet. If we have, I apologise.
Oh, it's going to be a great one.
But I love the fact we get tagged in stuff from the Crossing Swords team. The kids TV
yes,
show.
the cartoon.
Yeah. And there's an actress that as soon as I looked up what she'd been,
Tara
in,
Strong,
like,
wasn't
Jake
it?
was going to know who she was. Yeah, Tara Strong. And
Great
basically,
voice
like
actor.
the cast keep
Great
tagging
voice actor.
Crossing Swords, the Facebook page, in their posts about the TV show they're in, and it links to our Facebook page where the banner reads, "The pod where touching tips isn't frowned upon." And I just love the fact that there's parents and children clicking on, and we
I sort of fanboyed a
responded.
little bit as well because Tara Strong, I was like, holy fucking shit. I was like, do you know how many voices she's done? I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah, and she's tagging us in it.
Huge mistake, but
yeah,
I don't care.
And then I just responded on the Crossing Swords Facebook page and said, we're big fans of your show too. Thank you for the tag.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I am a big fan of Tara Strong.
But, yeah, talk to us on Twitter. We're funny guys. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, they know that.
Yeah.
They listen.
Life is like a box of chocolates. Never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, except life's
Nothing,
also like a
'cause
box
I've
of
eaten them
chocolate. Yeah,
all,
we've
but-
eaten them all.
Yeah.
It's a very stacked system.
Yeah.
By the time you get offered the box,
I can
there's
never
nothing
find
in
the
there.
chocolates around Jake's house, so thank God we've moved.
I've told you, ring the bell, the butler will bring them. I don't know why you keep going
Which
to do it
butler?
yourself.
It's the one that doesn't like
Well,
me.
whichever one's closer, it doesn't matter.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.